Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TruthSeekah Podcast. I'm your host, TruthSeekah, excited to be with you for another episode. Today, my guest is Raelian Ariel Leon Mellul. Welcome to the podcast, brother. How are you?
Thank you. How are you? I'm
Uh,
fine, thank you.
Great. So, you guys reached out, seeing we've been covering so much UFO videos and episodes and people's experiences and sightings and going back to the holy books, and there's this explosion of people again getting into ufology and people tying it into the Bible. Mainline pastors and preachers are talking about UFOs in their sermons, and some of them say they're gods. Some of them say that they're demons. You've got all of these different perspectives on UFOs and aliens. One thing about the Raelians is that when you're doing any research over the years, and if you've been into ufology for a while, you've definitely seen the Raelians pop up in the encounters that Rael had back in the 70s. And I know that I've seen these interviews and so much more over the years. So, such a privilege and honor to have someone who's been with Rael for, since the beginning. So, again, welcome to the podcast, and I'm ready to dive into the UFOs, the Elohim, who they are, what they want, angels, demons, gods, what are they? You ready to dive in?
Thank you, Dereck.
Um,
Well, yeah,
let me ask you this. Let's set it off this
yeah,
way. For people
go
who
ahead.
don't know, so I'm speaking to the long-time ufologist, right? But for
Mm.
people who don't know who Rael is in his encounter, can you go ahead and can we start there and just kind of open up what he experienced?
Yeah, sure. Um, Rael was a sport car magazine, and on December 13, he was driving to his office and felt the urge to stop not far from the way between the where he was living and his office. It was a mountain when he used to go with his family for picnic during summertime. That is an old volcano in France, close to Clermont-Ferrand, which is called the Puy de la Sola. He walked there and went to the center of this old volcano, and while he was there, December 13th, it was a little bit chilly. And then he told himself, well, I have work to do. What I'm doing here? All of a sudden, he saw a light in the sky, something shiny, two lights, one above, one beyond. And he thought at the beginning it was an helicopter. Then it was coming down, but no noise or whatever. Then he realized it was a spaceship. He didn't move because he saw the spaceship coming down almost above Earth, and then a ladder opened, and then he saw two legs. Then he freaked out because he said, I don't gonna move. Maybe they think I am a tree or something, and they're gonna leave because he didn't know what he was expecting. Then these two legs, he saw someone coming down, and he thought at the beginning it was a child because his size was about 1 meter 30, 1 meter 40, and a very shiny face, full of love. He was sorry not to have a camera to take a picture because I think this is spectacular, especially for me that I'm a journalist. So he saw this human being approaching to him with very shiny face, full of love, no weapons, nothing, and he feel more secure and more quiet inside himself. Then this man approached to him, and at that time it was Claude Vorillon, his name, and he asked the extraterrestrial, "Do you speak French?" And the extraterrestrial replied to him, "I speak all languages in the world." Then Claude Vorillon asked him again, "Do you come here often?" And the extraterrestrial replied, "I come here many times. And today I come to meet with you. Your name is Claude Vorillon. You are married, you have 2 children, you are running a sport magazine, and we telepathically induce you to come here today, like we telepathically induced you about 3 weeks ago to buy a Bible from La Pléiade, which is the only one where the word Elohim have not been mistranslated by God, and it remains Elohim. Now, we come here today because we have a very special message for you. And he invited him to his craft, and then they sit, and this extraterrestrial told him the following. We are the Elohim mentioned in the original Hebrew Bible. We are the ones that created all life on earth over 25,000 years ago. We started creating life on our planet, but the government of our planet didn't agree because the creatures we create escape, and they were like monsters, and they ran away and killed and hurt some of the people on our planet. So they decided to stop this experiment, and they told us to go elsewhere and find a planet where we can create life. We traveled through space. We found your planet that was suitable to create life. With some explosions, we made one continent. We removed the earth, like it's explained in the Bible, from the sea. We made one continent, and we start creating all kinds of plants, planktons, flowers, trees, animals from all colors, birds. And it was beautiful because our artist could created it, and through genetic manipulations of DNA and our technology, which is above of yours, 25,000 years, we started creating life. Then, we are the ones that send all the prophets. After that, after creating all kinds of animals and lives on earth, they created all humans, and they left us to understand, because there was the flood, because they want to destroy their creation, because they saw how evil we are and we were killing each other. Then they decided to leave us progress alone. They are the ones who sent all prophets. Among the most important ones, Moses, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, and many others, who are all the prophets that were sent to Israel, Africa, and elsewhere. It reached a time now, since 1945, that there was the explosion on Hiroshima on August 6th. They feel the urge to send one last prophet, because they said, either you can progress with nuclear, or you can auto-destroy yourself. And we don't want you to destroy yourself, because we are a chain of creation of life through universe. We have been created by another civilization. We have created you, and you will create life also. And this is why we want to protect the chain of creation of life. Then it mentioned to him, it's time for you, now that you have a technology, to understand and stop believing. We have been thought as gods because your primitive ancestors didn't know what was even a bicycle. And then now you're able to understand, you have airplanes, you travel to space and all that. And we're going to give you 2 aims. The first one is to spread this message worldwide. And the second one is to create an embassy, to build an embassy, to welcome us, because we want to come back and reveal to the entire population who we are, that people will welcome us. We are not aggressors. We're not people that want to take over your planet. We want to help you and give you our scientific heritage, which is above yours from 25,000 years, because you cannot continue to live the way you are living right now. This is exactly the message that Rael received from this extraterrestrial.
And this is a similar message that all the prophets receive? If we go back to Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, this kind of thing, is it very similar?
Moses and Jesus and Muhammad, I guess they received the same message, and this is why Jesus was killed, because Jesus was a rabbi. And when we talk about Jesus, which we have a great respect for him because he is the one that was, being a rabbi, he didn't want to change anything in the Bible. He didn't want to create another religion. He wanted just to explain the same message Rael brought to since 1973. Unfortunately, because he disturbed the establishment, he was sacrificed and he was killed. And Jesus, if we understand more who was Jesus when he was saying, "My Father is in the skies," Jesus is the son of one extraterrestrial, who is Yahweh Elohim, and the woman of the earth. And that's the reason why his mother was virgin, because probably she was inseminated artificially, like Sarah, Abraham's wife, that when the three angels come and sit with them, one of them met with Sarah that was sterile for many years. She was almost 90. And then she got pregnant and had a son that was called Isaac. Now, we can, many of them, according to the Bible, we can always say Isaac is the son of Abraham. But personally, after doing some search, Isaac was not the son of Abraham, was the son of Yahweh also, like Jesus and Moses and Rael himself. And Moses, when they say, well, he was a child that was putting in a basket and all that, I mean, Moses was the son of an Egyptian princess and an extraterrestrial as well.
So in this story, we have the creation, we have creation kind of going astray. We're talking about Jesus and different prophets. Where does the Satan figure come in? Where does the devil come in with you know, your theology and belief system? Who is the devil, and you know, what does he do? That kind of idea.
We need to understand there is no devil. Satan in Hebrew means the opposition. The opposition, the leader of the opposition is the one that is called Satan, but he's part of these extraterrestrials, and they have a political group, a political party run by a group of people. Yahweh is the leader of the Elohim, of all the Elohim, and Satan is the chief of the opposition. And Satan was the one that decided to send a flood and destroy all humanity on earth, because he said, well, we have created these people and this is not a good creation. We should destroy it and start a new one again, because these people are killing each other, hating each other. They're a bunch of evil people, and we shouldn't let them live like that because they're suffering. It's not because he hates us. He see that we're suffering like we're suffering today. What is our life today on planet Earth? Just greed, not sharing, hating, each one for himself. Nobody cares about the others. Wars. What is this all for? We could have lived like in paradise if people will understand this message of peace, of love, sent by the Elohim. No more war. People will care about each other. People will love each other because we are one with everything and with everyone. We are part of a whole.
That's good. Um, where do you guys, or even you personally, stand on the works of somebody who I think did a lot of um, justice to kind of making this message famous, as far as looking at a alternative view of the Bible and plural? gods, kind of going back to let you know it wasn't just one, and there was different factions, if you will. The work of Zachariah Sitchin and his work. Do you have
The
any opinions
Anunnakis, yeah.
on that? Do you appreciate his work? Where do you stand with what he brought to the table with his work? I know he
Listen,
gets a lot of opposition, and I don't know if you.
uh, opposition, no, I understand that, let me explain a little bit about myself. First of all, I'm coming from a religious traditional family.
Hmm.
We have learned Torah. We were praying like Latin. We were praying in Hebrew without knowing what we were saying because I was born
Yeah.
in North Africa, north of Morocco, in Tangier, and I always had questions but never got answers. At that time, our parents, like all religious people, used to take us to the synagogue to learn Hebrew, to read Hebrew, and all that. But we didn't understood what we were saying because we had no translation or school where we had to learn understand Hebrew. I didn't understood Hebrew and I didn't speak Hebrew until I went to Israel. I decided to go to Israel to build the Raelian movement in Israel. That was in 98. So I learned Hebrew over there. But since then, I didn't understood Hebrew. When I got this message from Rael, from the book that the Elohim gave to Rael, I didn't understood Hebrew. I didn't understood the Hebrew language, but I knew how to read Hebrew. Then I took a dictionary, Hebrew and French, because French was most easier for me. I took the original Hebrew Bible. I took a translation of this original Hebrew Bible. And then I start translating word by word because I always had questions as a child, but never got the answers. This is like this. We have been taught like this. This is the way we teach you. And this is it. That's all. We should follow what we have been taught. And I have been following religion. I got married. I had my son circumcised and all that. And I was following all these, rituals and celebrations and religious that have been taught, like by my grandfather, by my father, and all that. So when I read this message of Rael, it answers all the questions I had since my childhood. Then I decided to bring many citations from the original Hebrew Bible and start lecturing. And what was surprising is that I have invited many rabbis to my lectures. I have invited all Jewish communities, even in here in Europe, where I was lecturing, in Miami, in New York, in Israel. I have been there for 18 years and was giving lectures. But most of Occidental lives, people, religious people, either in Canada, in the States, in Europe, no rabbi want to attend our lectures, and they even come at the entrance of the hall to stop people coming in that they could not understand. What I was telling them then, and I still telling them now when they have an interview or something, is that if you are a rabbi and I am bringing citations from the Bible, please come and prove the opposite. Try to make me feel ridiculous in front of everyone. But they don't. They don't because they cannot prove the opposite of what is written
Yeah.
that we can understand today.
Yeah. There's too many. It's one thing if it was just one scripture, right? And you're like, see, this says there's beings that travel and they ride on ships and clouds, but there's so many that they try to ignore because you can really just pick any of them and show them, and they don't they have to make up an excuse. It's a
Of course.
cognitive dissonance because their mind and their belief system won't allow them um to really address what the text says very plainly, even in many of the English translations tells you, you know, these clouds are coming down to pick up God's people and bring them home and communicating with them from craft in the sky. Like a lot of it is very literal, and you know, they won't even have the conversation. You know, their
Oh,
mind
no,
won't
no,
let
no.
'em.
They're close mind. I have almost 100 or more citations
Yeah.
that confirm the Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization and not a single God.
Hmm.
But I mean, they're not willing to listen. They're not willing to understand. They just give you, oh, but this rabbi say this about this. These are just interpretation. But what is more valuable, what the rabbi is saying, or what is written in the original Hebrew Bible, where you cannot change even a iota?
Yeah.
And this is what Jesus said.
Yeah.
I am not here to change even a iota from what is written. And when Jesus was sacrificed, unfortunately, he was the one that was supposed to be the Messiah because he was bringing the message to the people of Israel. And if he would have been listened, if they would have listened to him and understood what he was saying, there would not be Catholic or Christian religion today. Because what developed the Christian religion, it was a sacrifice of Jesus, and then he built up another religion which was not his goal and his mean at all. Because he started being the Christian church at the beginning, it started being a cult of the Jewish religion. Then it develops. But I mean, unfortunately, he was sacrificed, but he says something very, very wise because he was a wise and he was someone very special. He say, I will pray my Father and he will send you the Paraclete. And after the Hiroshima bomb on August 6, 1945, the Elohim have decided to send another messenger, and Rael was born in 1946, and he is the Paraclete announced by Jesus.
Um, who who are the Anunnaki?
The Anunnaki, we need to understand that at that time, the Sumerian, at the time of the Sumerian, there were some people that they were called giants. Some people they call giants. And in Hebrew, we say the Nephilim in the word in Hebrew, which is not Anunnaki and is not giants. Many people translate it as giants, the Nephilim, but Nephilim comes from the word Naphol, which means come down, fall down. Those who fall down, they were extraterrestrial. Now, they were maybe giants, maybe not, because we can have people like Goliath and others. And the Anunnaki had a technology. I believe they were part of some extraterrestrials who stay on planet Earth that couldn't leave to their planet because after they revealed to the humans they created, to Adam and Eve and others they have created, they were extraterrestrial, they created us and all that. They were not allowed to reveal it. And they were exiled from their planet for many, many years. And I believe these Anunnaki were the ones who were in Babylon, which is Sumerian. And these people had the technology and had everything. I mean, in their tablets, in Sumerian tablets, they had even the description of planets, of the solar system, and all that. So these people had the knowledge, and they could not have that knowledge at that time with people who were primitive. So these people were already on planet Earth, according to me. And this is not in the message, it's just my interpretation. According to me, these people had already the technology and the knowledge to understand all these, how the solar system was, the position of the sun, the position of other planets, and they had everything in their tablets. And what Zachariah Sitchin mentioned, I agree with that. I mean, He was a genius.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You find these words, like you say, you breaking down the Hebrew and just going back to what it says, and it doesn't take too long until you start finding very similar words that sound like Anunnaki or Anoki and these kind of words sprinkled throughout the Old Testament, and people introducing themselves by these so-called titles or whatever. And they would have interactions with Yahweh and the different Elohim, and sometimes they would war, and sometimes they would, you know, come together and fight for a common cause and things. And so
Yes,
I think it
yes.
is I think it's really all the stories are combined, I think that they're all telling the same story, and anytime that we would, disagree with that, it's mostly because of cognitive dissonance, and people don't understand or aren't willing to
They're not willing to
vouch for,
understand.
someone else that they have been told is their enemy, maybe.
Yeah, well, we need to understand also that in this region that today is Iraq, because the Sumerian, the Sumer is where today is Iraq. And in Iraq, you have Bab El. The Bab El is where they made the Tower of Babel. Bab in Arabic is door, and El is Elohim. And
Hmm.
they made like, it was not a Tower of Babel, it was not a tower. These people, to revenge with the Elohim, to make war with them because they have exiled them from their planet, they built a spaceship. And this spaceship they built, it was to go and attack the Elohim. And this is when the Elohim changed all their languages and they couldn't understand each other. So they couldn't put themselves together to go and attack them. And this is why all the people at that time they went all over the world. They travel all over the world and they disperse because the groups that were speaking maybe Sumerian, they stayed there, and others that were speaking other languages, they went to North and South and Africa. And I have a little story mentioned by someone who is called Grad. Maybe you heard about him. He proclaimed himself Kabbalist or something like that. Maybe you heard about Adi Grad. And this man was mentioning that when these people that were speaking English arrived to the Scottish coast and they saw the shacks, the Hebrew, they have a celebration that is called Sukkot.
Hmm.
This Sukkot is like we make little shacks so with palm trees and things like that, for 8 days, and we stay to eat there and enjoy because it's a celebration to celebrate that the Jews were out of Egypt and they were building these kind of shacks to protect themselves from the sun and all that. So when these people that were speaking English because their language have been changed arrived to the coast of England and they saw these shacks, they remember a word in Hebrew that is Sukkot. And they say Sukkot land. And this is why they started to calling Scotland.
Mm.
It's interesting to know, but just opening a parenthesis to know to what extent we can understand things and be more open to understand what our ancestors couldn't understand because they were primitives.
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to figure it out. I think the science and the spirituality and all of these things that are ancient um, are holding up and standing the test of time. Even I would say, looking into ufology and all this stuff, how, Rael has been talking about this for a very long time and his message hasn't changed.
Yes.
So maybe some of the pastors, maybe some of the imams or rabbis, maybe they need to go back and apologize or at least sit down and have a conversation now for somebody whose work has and message has stood the test of time. that it hasn't changed. It's been the same message. And now, just now, everybody's getting on because of the rampant sightings, if you will, that people are beginning to have their own encounters and are seeing all types of lights in the sky and coming out of the water and all of this stuff. What is it for this like sudden, rapid increase of UFO activity? Is it heightening? Or we just are is the veils falling from our eyes? Are they trying to get our attention? What's happening? Or is there a deception like many people believe?
No, well, they're trying to get our attention because they want people to understand. They don't want just to appear like that because, with technology of 25,000 years ahead of us, they can come here and do whatever they want because they're able now to move a solar system from one place to the other. I mean, they have a technology that we cannot even imagine. And they're showing themselves in the skies. What's most people will, oh, I saw a UFO. But what's inside this UFO? Who are these people? And this is what we need to understand. The UFO is not there just by himself, or there are not monsters inside because they created us to their image. I'm referring to the Elohim.
Hmm.
They created us to their image. I mean, we look like them. Maybe their eyes are a little bit wider or big or more, like birds or, different. But there are billions of civilizations out there because there are billions of galaxies and planets and solar systems in the infinite of the space. So there are maybe people looking like, I don't know, with 8 eyes or 4 legs. But if we see someone like that today on planet Earth, we will shoot them. This is what they will do, the armies and the police. Go, monster. They come to invade us. They come to eat us. No, they're very pacifist people. And they're probably in contact with the Elohim. And this is why we want to build an embassy, that the Elohim could come in peace, not as invaders, invited. We invite them to come over. And probably when they will come in their embassy, they will probably invite other civilizations, pacifist civilizations, to come over and visit them because they're in contact with other civilizations as well. We are a chain of creation of life,
Hmm.
and we are part of a whole. And the extraterrestrial, to answer your question, all these signs in the skies and the crop circles as well, it's just to open our mind and say, we are not alone. We are not alone. We're not only not alone, but the truth is out there. And if they show us, it's just that we can prepare because in couple of years, everything will be revealed. And according to the message the Elohim give to Rael, they will land between now, they will arrive between now and 2035. So
Have you
very
seen
close.
have you seen one of the Elohim or one of the craft or UFOs? Have you ever had a personal
No,
sighting?
no, never. When I was in Israel, I was in my balcony many years ago, and I saw two big lights in the skies. One was going back and forth for about 15, 20 minutes. But I cannot say I saw a UFO. There were two lights. I imagine probably they were UFOs because, the way they were moving, but I cannot say I saw a UFO because to see for me a UFO is to see just in front of me and see the size. No, I didn't.
Do you think that they are communicating with you telepathically as far as guiding you and sending
They communicate.
ideas and are they leading you and guiding you still in like in communication with you personally?
No, personally, no, but we trying to make telepathic contact with Elohim every day. I mean, I do it on daily basis, and they recommend Rael to once a week on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. to try to do a telepathic contact with them, to thank them
Mm-hmm.
for creating us and thanking them to send us their messengers, their message and their last messenger, Rael, that brought us this message of peace, of love, of fraternity, of light to humanity. But personally, I
Okay.
no, no. The only one they have contact with Israel, and not very often, according to what he told us, is once a year, not every year, but telepathically.
Mm-hmm.
On the night of August 5 to August 6, they sometimes he have a telepathic contact with them during during the night, during his sleep. And they tell him what's the guide, they guide him to what it should be done or what country should be developed during that year.
Okay. Um, in my personal studies and experiences, I'll say, in the last couple of years and even more now, I'm starting to see what a lot of people are seeing, that the way we've interpreted the Bible, because of religion, right? Because they show us pictures and images, right? And then there's rituals that we're just repeating that are just symbolic, if you will, leads me to the term baptism, and how they've shown us movies and things where baptism was just going down to be dunked in the water, and it was just symbolic kind of thing. My studies are opening up a lot more to suggest that that wasn't what it was talking about. And I start there because I watched the Netflix documentary, and this type of baptism, this type of immersion, with the spirit of the Elohim or something, where Rael would place his hands and people would feel the energy, and it would be immersed with this love and
Not,
this
not
euphoria.
not
Is
exactly
there a
the
connection
energy.
there?
Not exactly the energy, Derek. This is, there are four celebrations, 4 times a year, where we can do our Raelian baptism, which is December 13th, the first date where they have met with him, October 7th, when they took him to their planet, on August 6th, which is the first, when the anniversary of the Hiroshima bomb that will not happen again, which is our Raelian New Year, and the first Sunday of April, where they created the first human being in laboratory. During these 4 dates, between 3 and 4 p.m., there is a guide that has habilitated Rael or any one of us, including myself and many others, that can wet our hands in water. We put one hand here on the forehead, another one behind, and we transmit. We are just like transmitter of the unique vibration, because every human being have a unique vibration. And we transmit this vibration to the computers of the Elohim that are around planet Earth. At 3 p.m. in every country, they don't move, but our planet turn, and they take the vibrations of these individuals that have decided to recognize them. And they recognize us as well, that we have recognized them. This is Aurelian baptism, and this is the demystification of the baptism and others,
Hmm. So
in
you say
different.
it's not an energy, but is there a feeling? Is there like is there bliss? Do you feel anything, or is it just symbolic? I
Well,
don't
we just connect to the person, and we just transmit. There is nothing mystical in it.
know. Okay. Okay.
Nothing
If it
mystical.
was a
Just,
mystical.
we just have been intronized to transmit this cellular code and cellular vibrations of these individuals somewhere to the computer that the Elohim have out there, probably in UFO or somewhere, that it stays there and the planet Earth turn. So it could be at 3 p.m., between 3 and 4 p.m.
Hmm.
any country.
Okay. There's a word that's been popping out to me in my studies as well, and it's a word that you guys use. So I thought that was interesting in my study, and then I started looking into your work and um, the meditations that you guys do, but there's a word used biblically that I don't think many of us have understood that you guys use as well. So it's just really caught my attention, and it's the word sensual.
Sensual meditation.
Sensual. Can you give us a little bit of info on that? Because there's a New Testament verse that uses the word sensual in a demonic way, the way it's translated in English. I'll say that. The way it's translated in English is kind of like it makes you think it's a bad term, but the more study, it's like, hold on, there's actually more to this and the way our bodies are formed, this, sensuality. Can you talk a little bit about that and the
Sure,
power?
sure. Sensuality, it means to meditate with our senses, to open our mind and our senses, because we are connected. The spirit and the body are connected,
Mhm.
and it's one, it's not separated. And sensuality, it means when we look at something, we can make it beautiful and we can make it ugly. This is the way we can see a bird and meditate on this bird, and this bird is part of us and we are part of this bird, and we can communicate, not mystically, but I mean visually. When we listen to a nice music, this is another one of our senses. The smell of a flower, of nice food, this is another sense. Our tongue, our touching. And sensual meditation is to meditate with our senses, putting them, alive, making us aware of these senses to meditate. And this is better than having drugs, because when we do alms or when we meditate, there is, especially when we do alms, many, probably you have tried it, and you put your hand here, making many times, you feel, you feel the vibrations. And then when you get in silence, you feel like a drop of something coming down your body and giving you a harmony. To meditate is to harmonize ourselves. Now, what bothers most of religions about senses, and they call it sometimes not sensual, sexual meditation, have nothing to do sensual and sexual. But they put it together because to have sex for them is a sin. And there is nothing to be a sin if this sex is among adults that consent to have sex. Other than married, single, between gays, between lesbians, between people who are, a couple or whatever, everyone is free. And this is what we call it love, because it's an act of love when you do it with consciousness. It's not just sleeping with someone for the sake of masturbating with another person. Is to have this unity between two people, to feel the love between the two people, between feel love with humanity, feel love with trees. When we don't make love with a tree or with a flower, but we can see it and feel the love. And sometimes you can have even a tear to feel this connection that we can make
Yeah.
with something that we like, that we love, that we feel so connected to. This is a very good emotion.
Yeah. That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. Um,
My pleasure. My
yeah,
pleasure.
it's been fun to dive into that and to experience it and to be at peace with God and be at peace with yourself and be at peace with all of humanity and the plant kingdom or kingdoms of this world, because the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, we do share a relationship, and anybody who thinks that we don't are sadly mistaken.
Yeah, listen, we're connected to everything. And just to correct you, if you allow me, there is no God according to the Elohim messages. what we call God is that, first of all, we have mistaken these people as gods because we can't understood that they were coming down and they were from another planet and they had these civilizations. It's like we going today to let's say, assume an island or a tribe that have never seen another kind of white man or another civilization, and they think they're gods as well because it happened in the Isle of Tanakh, when after the Hiroshima bomb, when they saw the Americans passing by, they were waiting for the gods from that will bring them chocolates and things like that. And they used to, every night, they used to make fire on the sides, like if it was an airplane where the airplane could land, you know.
Yeah.
And people couldn't understand, like our ancestors did not understand. Now, the Elohim have created us. They have been created. Those who created them, they created other people, and so and so and so and so, and they were created. And we are going to create life. And this is why, through cloning and through manipulations of DNA, we can today create life. The only problem is that governments, they don't want that to happen. And this is why they're so touchy and forbidding cloning, because human cloning will destroy the myth of God. The day one genetician or someone in laboratory will be able to create a man, the mystery of God, it's over. If one man can create another one, there is no place for God anymore. Now, what most of people they call God without knowing is that the infinite in Hebrew is Ein Sof. It means there is no end. But there is no end, there is no beginning as well. There are billions and billions and billions of galaxies out there, and solar system and planets who are habitated as well. We're not the only ones in the universe, like many people still believing.
But
Ignorance.
if we keep tracing it back to where, like, who was the first? Where did the first come from? No, so you're saying all, I would assume like God would be the consciousness that's not in a body. That is the thing that connects us all. The power, the infinite, the intelligence. Again, the one that was before and the one who's at the end, infinite, you know, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, the end, the first, the last, the one who was, the one who is right now, and the one who is to come forever, forever, forever. It would seem like that would be an essence, or maybe some would call it Holy Spirit or a spirit or something like that, would be this God, you know, God energy kind of thing, the spirit.
What I can tell you to that is that the Elohim explained that there is no God. Life was always there in different forms, and life would always will be. Let me explain how because we cannot see the infinity, we can just feel it. And it's very hard to explain because many people will say, well, with nothing, there is nothing you can do. But if always there was something there in different forms of life. We human beings are living on a planet, what we call planet Earth. We are in a solar system. This solar system is in a galaxy. This galaxy is in a universe. And this universe is just an atom of a cell of something, of something or someone alive. It could be a worm, it could be a cat, it could be a human being. We don't know. Even the Elohim don't know. But the Elohim are not living in our solar system. They have another solar system, but they're in the same galaxy. It means all the universe, all this infinite universe is an atom of a cell of something or someone that is alive. It could be a worm, as I said. Could be a plant. I don't know. We don't know. Even the Elohim don't know. And inside ourselves, One atom of one of our cells is an infinite universe where there are billions of planets, galaxies, solar systems, and there is life. Probably for us, the time to breathe is maybe 100 years from them. Or probably our 100 years is just a second for this being that is alive.
Mm.
And this is why people don't understand what is God. God means Deus. Deus means light. That's all. It's
Um,
very simple to understand, but with open mind.
mhm. Let's see. What was it? I wanted to ask you. Oh, so about this. So when you say that there is no God, and the Elohim say this, right? I remember that Rael was interviewed by the great Bob Larson, who called him a antichrist and these things back in the day. And so, can you talk a little bit about that, about just the backlash and maybe some of the sensationalism of something like Bob Larson? Because I was on Bob Larson as well. I had the privilege of being interrogated by the great Bob Larson, and can you talk a little bit about that?
No, well, I didn't knew much about it. I don't know in what year was that, but people that don't, they have their own audience, and they don't want, maybe because their fear from their 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 boss or the system or whatever, or they're afraid that to be killed or something like that. They don't want to be accomplices sometimes of what Rael say, either because of their beliefs also, or they don't want to disappoint people, or they don't want to make like if it was an advertising. As I mentioned, and we all know, our website is rael.org. Our site, rael.org, is just a site that you can download the books. I will put my site now here. There it is. There it is, rael.org. In this website, all our books have been translated in more than 80 languages. They can be downloaded for free. It's smart just to read and try to understand. If it's for you, fine. If it's not for you, put it in the garbage. Nothing much. But just when people read this book, they just have to ask themselves one question, because there is only one. What if this is true? What if this is true? That's all.
Ariel, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for everything that you're doing and trying to make this world a better place. Trying to become a light and inspire people to believe. And yeah, there's people asking a lot of questions, and so there's a lot of room for these
Yeah,
answers, if you will.
and before ending, I would like to invite your guest, and I will send you the link we organize planetary meditations for peace. In this crazy world where there is war, where there is people suffering, we try the second Saturday every 2 months. We organize a meditation for peace to send peace and love to everyone, plants, all human beings, animals, all lives on earth, because we are all one and part of a whole. And our next planetary meditation will be next Saturday at 9 a.m. New York time.
Mm. Great.
So I will send you the link if you want to share it. If
Yeah.
people want to join it, it's absolutely free.
Yeah.
And the more people we meditate for peace, the better waves of love to humanity we can send together, because we should be united. We should care about each other. We should love each other. and be together and feel like one, because we are one.
You can't disagree with that. Can't disagree with that. Thank you so much, brother. It was great to meet you.
Thank you, Dereck. My pleasure.